marafiki zako, is it you and your friends who are going through it? Because it feels like the last many months, you all have been going through a lot. Okay, your divorced friend now is having problems, right? Actually, yes, is having a few issues with the divorce that they had, right? Look, first things first, let's talk about the importance of divorce. It is vital. We talk about it here on the show all the time. If they're not doing you right, if they're doing you dirty, leave them, okay? If they are hurting you in any way, financially, emotionally, physically, leave them. If they are impacting your life in a way that looks like jealousy, because you've seen jealousy in relationships. Oh, not Koku saying that she wanted to start her own business and Mr. Sa akasema no, hii pesa uko nayo hata ni extra, anza kulipia vitu huku. Can you imagine? Career jealousy. Wow, imagine dating. Oh Lord, my chest. Divorce is important. It is vital. And I think anyone who is feeling they're not okay, you need to leave that marriage, okay? However, just because you made a good decision for yourself and for the betterment of your children doesn't necessarily mean that children understand where you're coming from. There's a lot of a confusion that comes from you separating from your partner. There is that aspect of this is what they knew. This was normal to them. This was mommy and daddy used to live together. We used to live with mommy and daddy, right? This is their normal. So you turning around and moving out to a different house, or you having to go back to Geshagi so you can try and figure it out from there. Like whatever move that is thrusted into this relationship, into this system, this nuclear family, will cause a lot of heartache and confusion for the children. It can be quite heavy for them to even understand. Depending on how old they are, there are so many different effects of children, right? A really young kid might not understand what is going on. They may hate you for separating them from their daddy or their mommy, right? And a little a teenage or a teenager will look at it and be like, oh, it's now coming into the point of rebellion. They see it as an opportunity to rebel, right? And a much older child will also look at it in a very different perspective. So it can be quite a confusing stage. It can be very, I see here, angry. Children can be very angry. Children can also feel a lot of guilt, because oftentimes you'll hear, oh, I did this, that's why my mommy and daddy broke up. You'll hear that a lot, especially in children of divorce. It's like, it's my fault if I didn't, I don't know, throw that book away. It's always the most mundane thing. And they'll be like, it's my fault. If I didn't do it that way, then they wouldn't have broken up. And they tend to blame themselves a lot. And they tend to take that up as their responsibility. It was me. And you'll find children even trying to negotiate with their parents. You've seen movies like The Parents Trap, for example, where children actively go out of their way to make sure that their parents are back together. Like, it can be quite a tumultuous time for children. So please be mindful of that.
And all of this behavior, like them being angry and them not processing the separation, because it's also grief for them. Yes, none of you have died, but living in separate households. And this is the assumption that this is good co-parenting happening, not where one partner abandons the whole situation entirely. So a lot is still going on. They don't understand what's going on. Yes, they may even blame themselves. And they may even act out because they really don't know what's going on. I feel angry, but who do I blame? I see my mother working hard. I see my father trying to put this all back together. So like, where do I do with this anger that I have? Okay, energy in school. I'm going to go and fight somebody. I'm just waiting for somebody to say something. It's on site. Let's fight. Let me just have an avenue to get all of these emotions out. So their behavior could look like they're acting out, they're being disobedient, they're being rowdy, when all they are is confused. Their academics are even impacted, because how can I concentrate in school when my mother was screaming at my father yesterday? How can I concentrate in school when my father found us watching Cocomelon, unscrewed the television and went with it? No explanation other than he bought it. He is entitled to it. So there's so many things that are happening, and you think your child is acting out and being disobedient, but they just don't understand why you guys are doing this.
Another huge impact on children is trust and future relationships. I remember for a long time I was like, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone. If this is what it looks like, if this is what relationships look like, then I don't want to be in a relationship with anyone. And you can imagine now a child of divorce who's actually seen the parents separating. It can be very daunting and very heavy, to the point where they don't want to commit to anyone. They don't want to be in a long-term relationship with anyone. They become very avoidant of relationships, simply because it is an overly extreme reaction to preventing themselves from going through that pain of abandonment again, because it does feel like abandonment. And oftentimes, yes, you may try and navigate it as best as you could as parents. You may co-parent in the best way possible, but the impact of that, the ease of that as well. You find that some people just are never in any long-term relationships. They never ever want to commit, ever. It's a thing of, they have one relationship after the other, or the other ones who decide, I don't want to date ever, and they just stay on their own. So it can lead to a lot of trust issues. You tend to find that people don't always assume that you have their best intentions. It will always feel like they want something from me, and once they get it, they will go away. That trust is difficult, very difficult to build, especially with such children of divorce in their adult lives.
Yeah, and also splitting of loyalties, because sometimes parents, whether knowingly or unknowingly, will trauma dump on their children.
That's true.
Like, your mother will come and say, oh, your father is so foolish, he even did this and this and this and this and this. Now here you are comforting your mother, which is not your job. You're a child, comforting your mother and swearing, a man will never do this to me again. And over there looking at your father like, oh, this useless man. The other time you hear your father saying, oh, your mother is so foolish, she did this and this and this and this and this. So here you are saying, oh, I see, I kind of see where you're coming from. Now you're looking at your mother like, oh, girl, you're so dumb. Like, why would you do that? Like, you're pitted against each other all the time. And it's very difficult when you have to take sides. And you become a chameleon. When you're with these parents,
Your team, that parent.
you're with them. When you're with this other parent, you're with them. And it's such a difficult position for a child to be. So either you guys be united, a united front when you're divorcing, and go and do all of these things with your therapist or counselor, but just don't take it out on your children.
Yeah, which is very difficult, because it takes a lot of emotional maturity for you to get to that level. But also it takes a lot of maturity to make sure that the lifestyles of these children does not change. Oftentimes you find that in a case where parents split up, financial responsibilities can be very daunting on the one parent who's left with the bag, okay? You'll find that one partner is punishing the other partner by taking away the financial freedom and how they used to support financially, because now you're kind of spread thin, to be honest. You have to take care of your own family, but you also have to take care of yourself. You're paying rent for 2 different houses. It can be, now you're seeing new people, so you tend to find that finances can be a little strained. But in some cases, it's just parents trying to take it out on other parents by taking away the financial assistance or the financial support that they used to have in their household. You can even get to a point where the lifestyle changes completely, because depending on how badly that relationship ends, that divorce ends, you'll find that parents aren't talking to each other, and one parent takes away the children, and because they have no money, you end up now downsizing, having to sell cars. I've seen so many people telling the same story, and I think the one that I keep going back to is what's Lungaho's ex called? Jackie Matubia. When she had to move back to Kenya from the UK, and she had to start figuring out how to go to public school and all of these other things, simply because the parents did not agree, right? And therefore she was taken back home. The life that she knew in the UK with affluence and money and so on is not the life that she came to know when she moved down here. So these things do happen. We've seen so many stories of the same. Even the lady for Usikimye has given us her story of how when she left, it was just financial abuse. Like, the partner didn't want any. It's a lot. So it happens quite often. You're punished for not having it, or you're spread so thin, you have to adjust to live a lifestyle that makes sense for you.
And growing up in such households has its advantages and disadvantages. Disadvantage is the possibility of a lot of mental illnesses. There's depression, there's anxiety because you never know what's going to happen next. There's feeling a bit, conflicting with your self-worth and feeling a bit inadequate. There's, yes, depression. But also on the flip side, you grow up quick.
Yeah, the emotional maturity.
The whole thing of people watching and understanding things and being able to gauge people's moods and anticipate reactions and all of this, you become very mature very young, which could be useful in the long run. But also the depression, the other mental illnesses, they do not go away on their own until you deal with them. So there's, there's a flip side to this. There's joy that comes in the morning.
Yeah, but like there's also a lot of influence of how your parents deal with it, because based again on how your parents deal with it, it can stop things like that. Emotional maturity at a point where you need to be a kid. Like some parents, they shield you so much that you don't feel like you need to be grown up. Like you don't feel like you need to take sides. Like you don't feel like you need to read the room and figure out what the mood is for today. They don't do that. It is very, very important to see how your parents deal with conflict. Are they talking smack about each other in front of you guys? Are they constantly shouting at each other whenever they're on the phone with each other? Or are they actually according you a chance to just not be involved with their mess? Because it's their mess, not yours. So there's a lot of aspects of how your parents deal with it that can lead to healthy children, or it can lead to very, very problematic children, right? So be mindful of how you do it, because sometimes it's inevitable. It's just how you deal with it after.
So if you're going through your issues as parents, it's very important for your children to have a stable space, like the one Akina Mato and Koku envisioned. A safe space for our children, a neutral zone when all of us are dealing with their own things. Unfortunately, as we have seen, it is not difficult to maintain that because somebody's going to do something and somebody's going to get mad. So
it is difficult.
It's just a difficult situation to find yourself in.
Yeah, also those things like, what do you call it? Healthy uncoupling? What do you call it? Something uncoupling. It can be... I feel like it's important for parents who've gone through divorce to really go through therapy. Separately or together, whichever way. It's very important for this uncoupling to be very gradual, right? And I know we say it in the most idealistic situation. We're thinking about it in the most ideal way. That's not how divorce happens. Oftentimes, divorce happens because something bad has happened. So please try and see someone to help you through it so that you don't impact your children in a very unhealthy way that is irreparable, right? Be mindful. Yes, you are going through a lot. Yes, you are really a human being and you need to take care of yourself, but you also decided to have children. So you need to also take care of the children that you decided to have, okay? Let's not be selfish in that way. But hey, in an ideal world, all things would be kumbaya. We'd all be singing by the fireside, but it is what it is. Life is what life is. Do your best. And don't feel guilty or feel like, you did it wrong. Just where you are, work it out from there, right? And we hope that you find love and peace, not just for your children, but for yourselves. That has been our show. My name is Kathomi. See you tomorrow.
My name is Turife. Have a lovely evening. Goodbye.